The Bohr rule is one of the core features of quantum mechanics. It tells us the probability to measure a state given that another one was prepared. But this gives the mistaken impression that quantum mechanics is about measurement. And it's not. It's about preparation, about the unavoidable variability, uncertainty that is intrinsic in every preparation. So, we're going to show that the Bohr rule is equivalent to characterizing the entropy, the variability, of preparation. That is, the probability of measuring one state given that another one was prepared can be derived from the entropy of an equal mixture of those two states. The Bohr rule is entropy, and entropy is the Bohr rule. Orthogonal states are mutually exclusive states, those that can be prepared under the same conditions. And there are a lot of things that I could say, but I have to keep the video short because I've been busy with conferences, workshops, and summer school, so I didn't really have the time to prepare a longer video. So, we'll just see the Bohr rule geometrically, the entropy geometrically, and how one can be derived from another geometrically. Yes, we're going to use Euclidean geometry and trigonometry, what you learned in your first year of high school. Is that when people learn trigonometry? Anyway, no complex numbers, no Hilbert spaces. So here is the Bohr rule. The probability of measuring psi given phi is given by the inner product of psi phi, phi psi, divided by the norm of the two vectors. And if the two vectors are normalized, then you just have the square of the inner product. Now this expression doesn't tell you much, so let's see geometrically what happens. In case of a two-state system, all pure states are on the surface of the Bloch sphere. And since we're always considering two states, we can just look at a section of the Bloch sphere, a circle that contains psi, phi, and the center of the sphere. The probability of measuring psi given phi is simply the vertical height, the vertical distance of phi, because if phi were here, we would have to be 0, and if phi were up, we would have to be 1, and the probability is going to be a linear function, so all the states at the same height will have the same probability. So we can just get phi projected on the vertical axis and look at this distance. Now, this probability has to be normalized by the diameter, which will be 2. So really the probability is the distance between C and psi perp divided by the distance between psi and psi perp. So technically this distance is twice the probability, but I think intuitively this distance is probability, it's just a normalization, and so I will use p here even if the distance is 2p, and then when you do the calculation we make it precise. Psi perp is a diameter, so it would be length 2, and psi perp c is 1 unit of radius times the cosine of theta, because this is a right triangle and this is the hypotenuse, which is the radius, which is going to be 1. So the probability of measuring psi given phi is simply 1 plus the cosine of the angle divided by 2. And if you remember your trigonometry, this is exactly the cosine square of theta over 2. Actually, you know why this works? We can also see geometrically why this works. So we have psi, phi, psi perp, and this makes a right triangle, and the angle here is simply half the angle of theta. So this is psi over 2. Now, this is a right triangle, so this side is the hypotenuse, psi perp, multiplied by the cosine of theta over 2. Here it is. But also this one is a right triangle, so the distance between C and psi perp, since it's a side, is just the hypotenuse multiplied by the cosine of theta over 2. And here it is. And so we can now substitute this expression here, and we just have psi perp cosine square of theta over 2. Because you see, we are projecting twice around the same angle. That's why you get this cosine square. So now the ratio between C psi perp and psi perp, that's exactly the Bohr rule, and so you just have cosine square over 2. Okay, so the main message here is that the Born rule is an invertible function of the angle. So if you know the angle on the Bloch sphere between psi and phi, you can get the Born rule, and if you know the Born rule, you know this height, you are going to be able to get to the angle. So there is a one-to-one map between the probability of measurements and the angle on the Bloch sphere. That's the important geometrical fact. Okay, so now let's move on to the von Neumann entropy. We have a mixed state, which is really a classical probability distribution over different preparation. And we are going to have the entropy, which is going to be given by the von Neumann entropy, which is minus the trace of rho log rho. And if you don't know what this is, it doesn't really matter so much, because at the end of the day, what matters are the coefficients that you would put on a set of states that are orthogonal to each other. And according to those coefficients, you just get the standard expression, which is minus p log p. So again, this is not telling us much, so let's go to the Bloch sphere to get a little bit of a geometrical idea. So B1 and B2 are our two orthogonal states, of which rho is a mixture of, not a superposition, but a mixture. And a mixture is just on the line that connects the two. So this would be rho. The distance between rho and B2, again normalized, would be P1, and the distance between rho and B1 is P2. Again, this is not a typo, the things are inverted, because if you imagine that P1 is 1, we go all the way here and we get B1. And if P2 is 1, then we go all the way down and we get B2. So this is a little bit confusing that the two things are inverted, but that's how it is. And again, recall that technically this distance is 2, so we are normalizing, so this should be 2 times the probability, but again, the geometrical intuition should be that this is P1 and this is P2. And so you have this expression in terms of this. Now we can do better, because like before, we can note that P1 it's really 1 plus R divided by 2. So P1 is just 1 plus the distance between the center of the Bloch sphere and rho divided by 2, and P2 it's 1 minus the distance divided by 2. So you have this expression. And now you have an invertible relationship between the distance from the center of the sphere and the entropy. So if you are at the center of the sphere, your R is 0, you have 1, the maximum entropy that you can have in a two-state system. And as you go further out, your entropy decreases and it gets to 0 when you are in a pure state. So you can imagine that the entropy sort of gives you concentric shells, and the more you get inside, the more the state is mixed, the more the entropy is high. Okay? So again, geometrically, the important thing is that the entropy is an invertible function of the radial distance in the Bloch ball. If I tell you the entropy, I'm telling you this R, and if you give me this R, I can tell you the entropy. It's the same thing. And now the little bit of intuition that is going to link the two. Suppose that we have psi and phi, and we have an equal mixture rho of the two. And again, it's an equal mixture rho, means that it's in between these two, and it's exactly in the middle. Now, this rho will have a distance with its origin. And if you can animate by yourself in your head, if you imagine that phi goes towards psi, then rho is going to go toward the outside. And if the angle instead increases, rho is going to go towards O. So the radial distance of rho is an invertible function of the angle between psi and phi on the Bloch sphere. But if you can go between this r and this angle, and we saw that the angle was 1-to-1 to the Born rule, and the distance to the center is 1-to-1 to the entropy, then we can go 1-to-1 from the probability of the Born rule to the entropy. And this is why we should strive to understand things more concretely, more geometrically, because then we can see all these intuitions, and this is exactly what reverse physics is all about, being able to see this connection. Okay, so there is this relationship. Let's find it. So R is this segment, which is O rho, but this here is a right triangle, so O rho is simply the cosine of the angle between B1 and psi. But the angle between B1 and psi is half of the angle between phi and psi. So we have that R is the cosine of the angle theta between the two states divided by 2. But this, as we saw before, is just the square root of the Bohr rule. So the relationship between R and the Bohr rule is actually quite simple. And therefore, our entropy is just going to be the same function that we had before. Instead of R, we just have the square root of the Bohr rule. And therefore, we have a one-to-one map between the square root of the Bohr rule and the entropy. And so we can go back and forth. So again, this relationship is very simple. So we should see why this relationship exists geometrically. Why do we have that? Okay, so again, let's review all the elements here. We have our black ball, we have all the center of the black ball, we have the two state psi and phi, and we have the state rho, which is in between the two, which is the equal mixture, and then we have this, that it's r, the distance of rho from the center of the Bloch sphere. Now to get to the Bohr rule, we have to connect psi with psi perp, project phi onto that line, and then this distance over 2 is going to be the Bohr rule. The Bohr rule is this distance between psi perp and the projection of phi. Okay, so we have to understand the relationship between this segment and this segment divided by 2. Okay, so note that psi perp phi psi is a right triangle. So we have some Pythagorean action going on. So we have that this square plus this square is equal to this square. But since this is a projection, what actually happened is that this square is equal to this rectangle. So psi perp phi square is equal to psi perp c times this side, which is just psi perp psi. So we have this relationship. Now, another thing that we note is phi psi is twice the distance of rho phi, because we said that rho is in the middle of the two. Also, psi perp psi is twice the distance between O and psi, because this is the diameter and this is just the radius. Okay, so this triangle here is similar to this triangle here, which means that this distance here, psi perp phi, is twice the distance of O rho. So now we can use this expression, substitute it here, and divide it by a fourth, and we basically have this relationship. The square that we have on O rho is equal to this rectangle, and one side is just a radius, so it's just 1, and this other side is just psi perp c divided by 2. So we have that O rho square is equal psi perp c divided by 2. But O rho is r, and psi perp c divided by 2 is the Bohr rule. So r is equal the square root of the probability of measuring psi given phi. And again, you can see geometrically here. So what I would recommend is that you kind of stop and try to reconstruct all these things by yourself so that you can get sort of a better understanding of the geometry of these things, because it's really nice and beautiful, and it sort of helps demystify a lot of these expressions in quantum mechanics. And so we have seen that the Bohr rule is equivalent to the entropy in the sense that given two states, I can give you the Born rule between the two, and you can reconstruct the entropy between the two, or I can give you the entropy of the mixture of the two, and you reconstruct the Born rule. It's the same thing. Mathematically and conceptually, they play the same role, they have the same informational content. So, why is this interesting? First, because having more ways to understand the same things gives you more understanding. Second, at least to me, seeing the geometry makes me understand a lot more why things have to be in a certain way. But it is one more conceptual reason. Since the Born rule is a relationship between a preparation and a measurement, it is technically a relationship between two different spaces, the space of initial states and the space of final states. But some measurements are destructive, so you don't really have a well-defined space for final states in general. The inner product instead is technically defined on elements of a single space. So conceptually, there is a little bit of a disconnect there. But there is no such problem for the entropy. The entropy is the variability of the preparation. The mixture of two states is defined at equal time on the same space, on the space of preparation. This also meshes well with a lot of other results in reverse physics, like that the Schrödinger equation is exactly the evolution that conserves the entropy. So all in all, once you get used to it, there are other advantages, which you can learn if you follow our research on the assumptions of physics through this channel, our other channel, our website, assumptionsoftphysics.org, and all the material that we put there. I hope to see you next time.